Hi there, I'm Conor McCreery, and I'm a horrible person. What can I say? I just love to watch people struggle. But that's actually what makes me a pretty good writer. You see, when you're putting a story together, you want your protagonist. No, you need your protagonist to have the absolute worst time possible. You need to put them in situations they don't want to be in. You need them to face threats that they don't think they can handle. You need them to ask questions of themselves and, if you're really mean, questions about the people around them, the ones they think they can trust. You need to tear them down and to make them feel that basically the world is against them. And if you can do all that, then you're going to have a character that's going to have to overcome, that's going to have to grow, and it's going to give you a great story. In The Last Witch, I tried to be as mean as possible to my main character, Saoirse. We start off with Saoirse being in kind of a lousy place. She's an outcast. Her grandmother is this strange woman who makes weird potions, so people think the whole family's weird. Saoirse's mother has passed away just a couple of years ago in the first Irish famine, and Saoirse has this weird birthmark. And we're, of course, in medieval Ireland, where having strange birthmarks was not something that people just sort of looked the other way. It was obviously a sign of the devil or something wrong with Saoirse. So she's basically alone. She does have one friend, actually. His name is Padraig, and he's a great friend. The kind of friend who tells her that, hey, I'm your only friend, so you should do things the way I want, because if I leave, you got nothing. You're lucky I hang out with you. So right from the beginning, Saoirse doesn't have a lot. And so her and this kid, Padraig, they decide to prove how brave they are, because Padraig's also an outcast. And they decide to go into the forest on the one day you shouldn't go into the forest because that's the day the Queen of the Witches is out there. And as you can imagine, that's not going to go well. But it starts off poorly even from the beginning. Her dad finds her and he's furious that she's going to go into the woods. So now she's in trouble with her dad and she gets grounded, which is, by the way, her birthday and also the one big festival day in the village. The one day she actually can kind of hang out with everybody, that's gone. Now she's taking care of her sick brother, which is a drag. She decides to sneak out. Her sick brother follows her, and he threatens her that if she doesn't do what he wants, which is let him tag along, he's going to tell on her. So now she's got her little brother going with her. Now they move forward. You get some good news. Wow, they find this like old tower. That's amazing. The problem is the tower's locked and Padraig's nowhere to be seen, so it seems like he's already won this challenge. But she decides to explore, and that's when things get worse. Her brother disappears, and when she runs around the tower, she finds the door is no longer unlocked, and there's now a bloody handprint on the side of it. Well, now things get worse because when she goes inside, there's a bunch of bones and there's a witch. And now things are worse because Padraig seems to have been cooked. And now things are worse because Brahm's there waiting to be the next, piece of the meal. And there's some sort of weird spell on him and he can't move. And now it gets worse because suddenly the witch finds Saoirse. And now Saoirse has a spell on her and she can't move. And I won't spoil too much more than that, except to say that when Saoirse does escape with her brother, because otherwise this would be a very short story, she gets out to the woods and she finds that grandmother, only to find out things are worse. That a whole other group of witches has come, destroyed the village, her father is dead, everybody is dead, and they want to end the world. And so that's an example just in a scene of how you try to make things worse and worse and worse. And you want to start with little things like how a character feels, right? Because that's the stuff we relate to. The idea that a little boy is going to tell a little girl that she's, a loner doesn't seem to have many stakes compared to the idea that there's a witch who's trying to eat you and your brother. But it all adds together, and those emotional stakes are the ones that stick with you. So, for example, as this story goes on, Saoirse's going to have to face a lot of things. She's going to have to learn how to use magic. She is going to have to face a coven of witches that want to open the door that will destroy the world. She is going to be confronted with the fact that maybe not everybody she knows has her best interests at heart. She's also going to have to confront the fact that she might actually be a bad person. I know I joked at the beginning about being someone who likes to, watch people struggle, but Saoirse's going to ask herself that question is, am I the kind of person that actually is okay hurting other people? Not because it gets me closer to saving the world, but because it kind of makes me feel good and it makes me feel like I've gotten revenge on other people. And of course, horrible things are going to happen to people that Saoirse cares about. And so all that together is going to give our main character, Saoirse, a really fraught journey. this is a book for kids. This may now suddenly sound like, whoa, what the heck? Because this is based on things like The Secret of Nim or The Dark Crystal, where those heroes went through the ringer and the villains were really vicious in their way, in a way that was appropriate for the genre, but in a way that still really stuck with me. So yeah, The Last Witch, it is a great example of how to make life miserable for your main character. I think that's what makes it a very compelling story. And if you have any questions or comments, ideas about, how you should run your own character, if you want to comment on something, you want me to maybe answer a question, please feel free to put them in the comments. And you can get the link to get book 1 of The Last Witch in the description. And book 2 is starting to come out on June 18th. So thanks very much for listening. And remember, just be an awful person. It'll make you a better writer.